Oh, and then we can get into the white Elantra. So many identical cars, surveillance blurry at night. But remember all the witnesses that reported the black SUV that I have been saying for quite some time? What's up with the mysterious black SUV? That's one of the ones that I combed out the other day. What was with the mysterious black SUV? The narrative feels really built around him, like we've been saying for a while, not built around the full evidence. Are there any cases that show factual innocent out there in the public? Absolutely. Brian Banks. He spent 5 years in prison, falsely accused of rape. Now, he was a football star, falsely accused, 5 years in prison. After 5 years of serving in prison, the accuser admitted she lied. What did the court do? What do you think they did? They found him factually innocent. Oh, but there's more, folks. Maurice Hastings in 2022, he served 38 years for a murder he didn't commit. And guess what? DNA pointed to another man. What did the court do for him? They granted him factual innocence. Wow. Yes, it happens. There's more. Ruben Martinez, imprisoned for almost 12 years. In prison for robbery. Guess what the witness do? They recanted their statements, proved his innocent, and what did the court do? They awarded him a ruling of factually innocent, and LA had to pay him $8 million. Yes, this does happen. And then we have Obey Anthony, convicted of murder for 17 years. 17 years. Obey Anthony. Witness lied. Prosecution withheld evidence. Evidence. Again, the court found him factually innocent. So let's go back to Kohberger. Could Kohberger's case meet that level? What defense would need? Forensic proof of contamination, digital alibi evidence, could be possible. Strong alternative suspect theory, shot down by Hitler. If achieved, it wouldn't acquit him. It would actually officially clear him. Now, there's a lot of controversy around these Cellbrite, the new interview that's going around. And I've even got something to talk about that as a bonus. We'll get to that. But could Kohberger be officially cleared? In your humble opinion, from what you've seen, is it possible? Drop a yes or a no in the chat. Be respectful, guys. It's a touchy subject, especially after the talk we had earlier in regards to some of the witnesses. Here, the end goal is not just a verdict of not guilty. He didn't go to trial. He pled. Most people later petitioned for factual innocence or, like I said, post-conviction relief, especially if he pled under pressure. It would wipe suspicion from the record, and the defense could go in and say, or an attorney, appellate attorneys, they can go in and say he was wrongfully accused. The DNA is unreliable, the cell data is unreliable, the car ID is uncertain, the timeline is shaky, the investigators overlooked other suspects with what? What did I say it was called again? They zoomed in tunnel vision on the wrong person. Yes, there was alternative theory suspect. Yes, it was thrown out. There were suspicious patterns of the SUV sightings. Kaylee allegedly interest in offenders that could have attracted attention from those dangerous individuals. Other digital evidence, physical evidence that may point away from Kohberger. Yes, the police had bias. I believe, in my humble opinion, they were fixated way too early on Kohberger, ignoring all the other suspects. I mean, clearly, from the ISP investigations, there are more suspects than we didn't even know about. A married man with 3 kids meeting up for what? Coffee? And then refusing to give DNA and refusing to cooperate, enlisting legal support. Way too many other suspects were cleared without transparent reasoning. I mean, we can go talk in massive depth about all the alibis, tunnel vision, alternate suspect theories, and we pull it all together, and what do we have? We have a hodgepodge of unanswered questions, shaky DNA, phone inconclusive, car unclear, timeline uncertain, investigation flawed. It's not only a weak case, but all the evidence points away from Kohberger entirely. Wild. This is truly a push for factual innocence. And let me give you the bonus I was talking about. Let's talk about that for just 1 second. Someone had put an amazing, let me grab my phone because I want to read it. Comment on a post. And let me grab my glasses too. Absolutely amazing what they commented. And I just have to give them a shout out. And she says, Ashley, shout out, honey. Hey, Phoenix, I'm trying to spread awareness regarding the claims and untruths made by Cellbrite experts that helped the FBI with this case. I apologize in advance for this long post. I've been following Cellbrite forensics analysis experts making their rounds on YouTube and mainstream media. Initially, that caught my eye, and I thought, let me go do some research on this company. Lo and behold, Ashley says, as a seasoned forensic examiner with over 20 years of experience, I need to call out some of the major problems with the claims being made about Bryan Kohberger's Samsung Galaxy phone extraction in this case. Now, withstanding defendant's guilt or innocence, the examiners are making some pretty bold claims. Now, tell me you all have seen this video floating around, because I'm going to grab it real quick because I did not pull it up. And I just want to show you the interview about the Kohberger case. And I thought, who would hire these individuals to share this? Well, they went on Fox News, and they've been on a couple of other shows. This one aired yesterday, and I just want to show you this really super quick clip to give you an idea of what is happening with this company. Kind of question it, just a little. They're supposed to be forensic experts. Let me see if this will let me play this video. All right, let's see if this will let me. I hope this works, because last time it wouldn't let me share it. So let's just see if it plays. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Why can't we hear this?
Selfie. You know, that's the thing. Like, even we talked about the selfie, you know, at 10, it was 10:13 in the morning, day of murders. He takes this selfie of him in the bathroom, and you can see a Band-Aid on his knuckles, and his knuckles look like they've been scrubbed. And, you know, what happened with that picture? Nothing. He takes selfies all the time, and it seemingly does nothing with them. They just are in his phone.
It's a lot of selfies.
Yeah.
I watched American Psycho back in the day, and how vain he was, where he would always take like naked photos of himself flex.
Now, isn't that weird how Maddie Mogen's last video used the audio from American Psycho, and here she brings up this movie? Do you think that's a little strange or just coincidence?
Similar to that, like with him just in pants,
not naked,
but topless from the waist up, flexing a mirror forward, backward, making different expressions, but just for himself. It was like he admired his body, and some he would suck in. Like, he was already a thin guy, but he would like stand like as sucked in as possible. It was strange.
So it's strange that people take pictures of themselves and check themselves out, kind of like some of these bodybuilding guys and girls that take selfies all the time and flex in the mirror, and some share, some don't. Does that make them weird? Does that make them odd, awkward, creepy?
Pictures of like different angles, like holding the phone like back here and getting like a profile, like, again, we don't know for what. Just
so he lived alone, and you know, I could go on and on and on about some of what they're saying about his cell phone. How does this prove anything about them talking about the pictures he took? Right? I mean, let me give you an example. I was on a business trip for a week, and my husband should have went and got his hair cut, and his hair in the back grew. So in order for him to say, hey, I need you to shave the back of my neck, he sent me a picture of the hair growth. And I was like, oh my God, you do need to shave the back of your neck. So I can imagine being alone and have no one say, hey, you need to shave the back of your neck, right? I mean, these people, I don't think they're experts, in my humble opinion. Are they married? I mean, there's a lot of controversy with this company. I'll just say that much.
He seems obsessed with himself, with his parents, with his body.
So think of that, but he takes his shirt off, flexes his muscles, and takes a picture of himself, and then just goes back to whatever he was doing before.
How did he know that? Did they have a video of all this, or he just says he took pictures?
It's nonsense. If he took the selfie and sent it to someone,
it would make more sense.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But nope, just sort of catalog.
Maybe he doesn't have anyone he wants to send it to. Has anybody thought about that one?
What I look like for Noah, for himself. So on Christmas night, so December 25th, and then cresting into the very early morning of the 26th, he went to a website which was Serial Killer Timelines. And it's literally like biographies of serial killers. Here's this person's name, here's where they were born, here's their parents, their family animal, here's where in their life, you know, something got stressful and then they overreacted at school. Like, it was crazy details about all these serial killers. And he just went literally click, click, and went through serial killers like for an hour on Christmas night, you know, as we all do. But download, you know, and some of these were downloaded. And so this was one of the
mistakes.
Yeah, the mistakes that he made.
How could it be a mistake if his field of choice is criminology and he was a PhD student, a TA in a class? How would they know that it was creepy? Or I just can't with some people.
Is he cleared some browser history, but when he was clicking some of these links, he was actually downloading a PDF to his device, which goes to a different directory. that is not easy to get to as a user. And so all this stuff was just sitting there, and, you know, he's a criminology major. Could you excuse it? Maybe, but not at this point, not for this guy.
But for any other guy, they could probably excuse it. Let's just say someone had a ton of corn on their phones and he's charged with, I don't know, grape. Does that mean that he might have been guilty if he had a ton of corn on his phone? I hope not. He would surely be, by these standards, found guilty. So let me go on to what Ashley reads about this company that you just reviewed, two of the individuals. She says they're making some bold claims, like they actually knew him. I kind of felt I got that in the interview, like they knew him, or maybe know of him. And how many other serial killers' phones have they gone through? That's my question. But I digress. She says the defendant's phone was seized 47 days after the crimes were committed on November 13th, 2022, and the extraction took place December 30th, 2022. These examiners, or whoever had the physical phone, reviewed the extraction in Cellbrite, then Axiom. The examiners themselves admit that when they reviewed in Cellbrite, most of the parse data shows up as unknown artifacts. That means the software could not categorize the extracted data. Remember, they were given the extracted data. They were not given the actual phone. And it showed up as unknown artifacts. This means the software could not categorize the extracted data in standard fields because it did not match existing. I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Existing parsers. And she goes on to say that the standard data fields, because it couldn't match existing parsers. That alone tells you the data was not clearly interpreted with the tools available, which is why the FBI contacted them. The examiners claim the defendant cleared logs and data, creating a gap between 10/12/2022 and 11/16/2022, but then they claim the extracted data shows the defendant deliberately disabled Wi-Fi during this gap, or around 11/11/2022, days prior to the crimes, to avoid being tracked. They go on to assert that the data gap 11/13/2022, he deliberately disabled Wi-Fi, contradicting their earlier November 11th Wi-Fi claim, then powered on the phone off by pressing the power button while at 100% battery, powered it back on about 2 hours later. There was a data gap, or there wasn't, but you can't have it both ways. I would love to see the actual report and artifacts they are relying on, because they are clearly forcing ambiguous, unknown data into a narrative that matches what FBI investigators wanted. Then she goes on to say the technical reality from someone who's actually worked these tools and how shutdowns and Wi-Fi toggles are logged. She goes on to say Android devices do log shutdown reasons and Wi-Fi state changes, but these logs live in volatile system buffers or small databases that are constantly overwritten. Artifacts could exist 47 days later, and had the shutdown occur due to a kernel panic, a crash, or a dead battery for debug or troubleshooting purposes. But they say the shutdown was a typical and deliberate power off initiated by the defendant, not unexpected or something that would have been reviewed later to troubleshoot a faulty phone. Once the device has been restarted multiple times, especially 47 days later, those entries are gone. They do not survive. There is no artifact that would preserve 100% battery at shutdown from 47 days prior. It's pretty long. She goes on to say, and basically, the tools themselves are black boxes, just like Google and Samsung's. Don't open their internals. Cellbrite, UFED, and Magnet Axiom also don't reveal exactly how their parsers work. The transparency comes from third-party audits like NIST program testing, which repeatedly shows flaws in both tools. I mean, just amazing information that she provides. It goes on to a couple more paragraphs. And then basically she sums it up with the public may see them as experts and accept their word as fact. But those of us who actually work with these tools know they are really talking ambiguous, uncategorized, unknown artifact data and forcing it into a narrative. Wow. That was a serious mouthful, but thank you, Ashley, for that information, which gives me no doubt that this is either something that was initially planted for a specific reason and Kohberger is factually innocent, or you and I have been strung along for years and we got hoodwinked. So here's it in a nutshell. This company in itself has faced long criticism for selling its technology to regimes with poor human rights records. Now, I don't know what they're looking for, but I know that they withdrew from Hong Kong and China and forced from unauthorized resellers distributing their tools. And these all come from massive major networks, business magazines. So is this the real deal or what? Have no idea. Law enforcement still continues to use them. It's just wild. It's wild that this company, a foreign company, can sell forensic software that can track and crack into locked phones and extract everything: text, photos, apps, data, even deleted files. Many agencies use these experts, three-letter agencies, FBI, DEA. They are often called go-to digital keys from prosecutors. And it's the secrecy in court that's the real problem. Because police, to keep use of the tool hush hush, it's not to disclose in testimony. Is this the reason that they were bringing in witnesses and experts that they did not want on the record or for the general public to see? I mean, if defense lawyers know how data was pulled, they can challenge it. This means the court often sees the results, but not the methods, just like with the IGG. Judge Hippler was going to allow the tip, but not the information explained by the experts behind the tip. It's that secrecy in court. It undermines due process and the right to challenge evidence. And that is why defense attorneys are yours and mine best defense when it comes to upholding our constitutional rights. They are the checks and balances of the court. Because as you well know, courts will charge you and oversee the process. The prosecutor will charge you. The courts will oversee the process. It's like they're almost the same side of a two-headed coin. And a defense attorney's main purpose An ethical value is to uphold the Constitution, uphold your legal rights, to make sure that no one is getting over on you. But Cellbrite, on the other hand, they spy on activists, journalists, individuals, phones secretly hacked, data stolen without warrants, and it's all a ruse to catch criminals. It could be used and abused politically also. So Cellbrite now uses AI to summarize charts and chats and audio. The problem is AI can hallucinate or misinterpret. Be careful out there, folks. Imagine an AI summarizing a conversation and a false narrative being used in court. Wow. There was a story that I read in Baltimore police. They stopped the use of Cellbrite after courts said their dragnet phone extraction were unconstitutional. But they quietly renewed their contracts later. And it quickly shows you how departments fall back into abusing broad powers. And I wonder if they did this in the Karen Reed case. How many unconstitutional laws are they trying to put in place or strip us down or take away? Why does it matter for the Idaho 4? Well, how was data pooled? What exploits were used? Was any AI interpretation applied? Without transparency in the digital evidence world, it could have been contaminated, misrepresented, or even fabricated. And that exact thing that separates not guilty from factually innocent, like we reviewed in the beginning, well, if fabricated, that's the exact kind of thing that separates not guilty from factually innocent, because the evidence tools are compromised and the case collapse. You know, this Cellbrite controversy just proves one thing: powerful tools can be abused. If the courts don't demand transparency, how can they trust the end results? If the evidence is not trustworthy, Bryan Kohberger's defense, mind you, he didn't have a trial, that alone could have caused reasonable doubt. And they could have argued factually innocent. Just like Anne told the courts, Your Honor, Bryan, my client, is innocent. But let's just keep the forensics hush hush, because they may be hiding that in this Idaho 4 case. What do you think about that? What's your initial reaction to what I just shared with you? These are just facts, folks. Just bringing you the facts. All this can be fact checked and more. So although this stream is not over, I want to go ahead and run through the chat. I know my fabulous mods are doing amazing. What is your opinion, your humble opinion, after listening to everything I just shared with you? Do you think that Kohberger may be factually innocent? Drop a yes or no in the chat. Give me your comments and feedback. What do you think? I think 100%, in my humble opinion, he just may be factually innocent. Absolutely. I hope someone does step forward. Now, the supervisor and the corrections officer at IMSI in Idaho, the maximum security, She sent me a name, and I've given them a call. They are an attorney in Utah that practices in Idaho, since no attorney wants to step to the plate in Idaho that we are aware of. And I'm waiting on a return call from the gentleman in Utah. And have read that the Innocent Project in Idaho, although they stopped their funding last year, is very interested in maybe helping out Bryan Kohberger. It's kind of frustrating when you have, and I'll just say this from a standpoint of, I see Ann Taylor frustrated, in my humble opinion, when you're up against the entity of Idaho and the court system. Because when you file an appeal, as he can, if you file an appeal, you're going up against the same people who put you in prison, that shot you down at every single avenue legally that you put in front of them. I can feel the immense of sadness if she knew he was factually innocent and there was nothing they could do. Very interesting. And yes, I think, in my humble opinion, somebody needs to step up to the plate and say, I'll take this on. Because they're not just taking on the legal court system, they're taking on individuals in that court system. But he could always file habeas corpus, you're holding me against my will, and maybe get somewhere with that and prove his innocence. Indeed, factually innocent. I know you guys are still talking about the Dylan situation. That was a very, very good discussion this morning. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. And with that, it has been a long day, my little nesters. I appreciate every single one of you that's been here. I hope you're getting some great information to go out there and help offset some of the most nastiest, hurtful, hateful, negative comments about an individual that no one knows. That's facts. Holding in silence until he's exonerated. And that is exactly what his attorney said in Pennsylvania. And that's exactly what his dad had said in the original release of the information on January 3rd, 2023. Bryan Kohberger's family was shocked. Believes police nabbed wrong man in the Idaho murders report. Yes, shocked. They don't believe it to be Bryan. They can't believe this. Monroe County Chief Public Defender Jason Barr told NBC News. They're obviously shocked. They're certainly completely out of character, the allegations, and really they're just trying to be supportive with the understanding these four families have suffered loss. The attorney added that the Washington State University PhD student turned accused mass murderer told him he believes he will be found not guilty. He believes he's going to be exonerated. That's what he believes, said Labar, who has visited Kohberger 4 times since his arrest. Those were his words. He was very easy to talk to. He's in a calm demeanor. Wow. 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 Amazing. His client is saying to him, this will be a long process, which has kept Kohberger in a suicide vest, who has been accommodating his vegan lifestyle. The accused killer has asked to speak with his parents, but the request was declined, the attorney added. All he wanted to do was talk to his parents like he had been doing in the past for hours on a Sunday. Just amazing. Those were the early reports. And yet that's where we still are today. Factually innocent. I appreciate you all. Be well. Phoenix out.
Listen up, the ashes stir, Phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur. Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth's the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stumping unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix in sync, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse, banners paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why. Listen up, the ashes stir, Phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur.